Hey everybody, what's up? We are here with a timeless reading. Welcome to the channel. Alright. I'm seeing something that's getting started here. I'm seeing a lot of wands. Wands are connected with fire energy, which all of us have. Wands are connected with what we feel passionate about, what lights us up, what motivates us. You know, the expression of like lighting a fire underneath you and like really getting going. It's like that. It's like, I actually want to move this way. Like, I actually really like this a lot. It's sort of the magnetism, the play of polarity in that way. It can be also like, I'm inspired to make this, I'm inspired to create this, I'm inspired to dream this up, I'm inspired to dress this way, I'm inspired to move towards that person. And it's also, wands are also action too. I see wands as being, not completely, but definitely connected with sacral energy. All right, 3 of Pentacles, 3 of Wands. I feel like you're plotting something future related with somebody. This feels like a figuring out that's happening. 3 of Pentacles is somebody that you keep going back into sort of the interaction with them is how I'm seeing it. And I'm getting it have to do with future related stuff that's being reflected upon. This may also be something that you're sort of keeping to yourself right now, or like only talking to this person about this. Hermit feels like you could sort of step back from the interaction with this person to think about something. So maybe you have been actively, like, let's say conversing with a person, and you're figuring out like where things are going, like what's the plan for up ahead. And having Hermit be here, it feels like I need to go home for the night and think about this. Hermit is feeling very lonely to me. So there may be somebody that you're interacting with now, but you could look at this and be like, but later on, I'm not going to be interacting with them anymore. I feel like you're leaving something. So we have 3 of Pentacles, right, where there's like a situation with another person where you're checking in with them, like you have to be working with them, you're talking to them. It's like there's a sharing and collaborating and working together here. But then this feels like, it feels like right now this is happening, but then like let's zoom out to later down the line, like later within the timeline. And then I'm seeing Hermit, and I feel like you're reflecting both on sort of, I almost feel like you're gonna get in the future to a past moment and like remember this moment. And I feel almost like there's gonna be a reflection that happens then of what's happening right now. And I do feel too that at this point where you are now, there's sort of a looking ahead too. And to have this, it feels like you go from being here with somebody to then sort of trekking out on your own possibly. Because Hermit is kind of about being on our own and figuring things out and being a bit more secluded. And it feels like a direction. So if you're secluded over here, like by yourself, and then you're moving somewhere, it's like you're getting even further away from this. And so I'm seeing this thing that you're thinking about moving here, but there may be some emotional stuff that I'm hearing buried. Emotional stuff that you're moving to. So Hermit can be like, this is you reflecting, right? Hermit can be like, I know that I need to move forward in this way, But I'm sad that it has to be like this, Five of Cups. Like, I know that I need to move on, but I feel sad about it. Or like, maybe I wish it could be a different way, or it didn't have to be just like this. I feel like this hasn't happened yet. I feel like you know that this is going to be happening, but it hasn't like actually happened yet. The timeline with this is very interesting. So I'm seeing you in the present, and then I'm seeing there be a checkpoint in the future where you're going to get to that point and you're going to think back to like right now in this moment. So I'm seeing that. So I'm seeing like you are at two different points within the timeline. I'm seeing your energy, and then I'm seeing I'm seeing there be like a third point then within the timeline, okay, at these different intervals. And I'm seeing at that point, it's like sad sort of about the way that things had to go, but knowing that they had to go there. But then I'm seeing you come back. So I don't think that you're there at that last point yet. I think you're actually still at the very beginning of this. But I get this like weird sort of, it's like a deja vu moment, but rather than it being connected with the past, it's like connected with the future. And I do feel like when you get to these future points, you're going to have that deja vu moment of where you are right now. Having Hermit come out, the energy of Virgo is very pensive. The sign of Virgo is connected with fixing things. Like, how do we make this better? How do we fix things? Does it have to be like this? Let's work it. Let's rework it. So I get just a lot of processing and a lot of like energetic mathematics that are happening here. More earth energy. There can be somebody that you've been working with currently. Like, I'm seeing a guide of some sort for some of you. I'm seeing the Hierophant. So this would be a guide of some sort that you're working with, unless you're the guide. Well, I guess also, too, it goes both ways, right? The teacher is the student, and the student is the teacher. But somebody may be helping another person along here. And they may be helping you process with sort of what's going to be transpiring. I do get the sense that with Five of Cups, it can be like, I showed up like this, but then to have the Hierophant, it can be like I showed up like this, or this happened like this. Like, this situation happened in this way, and Five of Cups is like a dissatisfaction with that. Of like, that's not ideally how I wanted it to go. And then having the Hierophant pop out after feels like maybe there was something that happened that didn't like completely align with our belief system, even of like ourself and how we prefer to show up, or like another person. Or there can be like morality that's connected with this, or like spirituality in some sense. So I get that whatever this was that happened, I feel like it's like actually reinforcing or molding something for you as far as like your spirituality or something like that. Like, it may be telling you important stuff about yourself and about your belief systems that currently resonate with you and how you want to show up in the future. I'm hearing the name Molly. It's coming through very strongly. It came out with Temperance. This is Sagittarius. So I'm seeing the Hierophant next to Temperance. Hierophant can be an exploration that we're going on of some sort, but usually it's like a spiritual quest. But if it's not spiritual, it's something where there would be like a higher meaning or a higher purpose to this. And then I'm also seeing Temperance next to it. So it feels like this is something that's going to be like you're going to be discovering more. And like Hierophant and Temperance, there's a lot of learning like archetypally within those cards. And then I'm also seeing Page of Wands. So this means that you're going to be moving towards something that you feel like Hierophant and Temperance, like this is very ninth house, okay? Like you think about spirituality, you think about languages, you think about traveling, you think about culture, you think about philosophy, you think about higher education. It's these like loftier subjects that we connect with, but I'm seeing there be like even a specific purpose as to why you're moving in this direction. And I do feel like it has like belief systems that are connected with this. So when I say belief systems, I mean like philosophy, spirituality, morals, like that type of stuff that's like specific to a person, but also shared maybe within a community, Hierophant. And Temperance feels like taking the time to figure that out. And then to have the Page of Wands here, I do get the sense that you're going to be like starting a venture in this direction. The word expedition is coming through. So it feels like a quest. But what's interesting to me is that it's like, it's not the quest that happens first. It's like something else that happens first. That feels like the catalyst was this situation here. And this disappointment is actually motivating you, or this like sadness. I'm also hearing lethargy is motivating you. So it can be like this. I'm going through this thing that I feel upset about, I feel sad about, I feel like I need to find the meaning, Hierophant. Like I'm feeling like this. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I want to understand the bigger purpose, Hierophant and Temperance. Like that makes so much sense. Like this needs to mean something. I need to give it some type of meaning, or find some type of meaning, or assign some type of meaning. So based off of this thing that's been happening, where it seems like you've actively been interacting with someone, then I'm seeing you be sort of in some period of solitude. I'm also hearing stasis. And then I'm seeing you move to this point where you're like, is this all that there is? Is this what it means? Like, this is feeling almost like a bit existential to me, how this is coming off. And then I'm seeing that be motivated, like transmuting this into like a search for higher meaning or higher purpose. And so I'm seeing just you going in that direction. And then I'm seeing that it's not going to happen immediately, but it's going to lead you in the direction of something else that you're going to be doing that's definitely related to your purpose. So you take like an unfortunate situation and turn it into a fortunate situation. And I do definitely feel like this is a search for meaning of some type, but something that you actually believe in. You know how like we can be raised into or born into a situation that maybe we don't like from a religious like standpoint, we don't agree with that. And it's like now maybe finding your own version of what you do agree with or don't agree with. It feels like making something your own. Like what you actually believe in and what actually makes sense to you. It's not just what was fed to you, but like what actually resonates with you. Yes. Ten of Cups. King of Swords. Some of you, you're going to be speaking out about this. I do feel like it's going to be a long process, and there's going to be a lot that's learned about. I do feel like there's something important that's going to be called out at the tail end of this. Because I'm even seeing you get to a point where like you feel really happy with what you're doing and what's going on. And you feel very, very connected and even like stimulated mentally, very involved. And then I'm seeing from that point, you sort of go back into something to rehash it or maybe even talk about it. But I feel like this is a more general kind of talking about something. It's like somebody that goes through like some type of situation and they make it out to the other side and then they write a book about it, or they like teach people about it, or they become an advocate in some way. It feels like that sort of thing, where you're actually like using this definitely to help things along. Some of you, you've been connecting with a spiritual teacher, or just, yeah, a guide of some sort, or like a spiritual teacher or something like that. Or there could be like a very particular subject that you've been learning about or studying about. Some of you could be like on very much a spiritual quest currently. A relationship of some sort. What also makes sense for the Hierophant being here, Hierophant being connected with Taurus, and Taurus being connected with like our throats. You know, like when you think of Taurian, Venus, singing, expression through sound, I do feel like you're finding your voice like through like beliefs that resonate with you, and going to move in that direction of this like exploration, this expedition, doing something that you feel like genuinely makes you happy to pursue. And I'm getting to that, like it emotionally is satisfying but also intellectually stimulating. And then I'm seeing that there's somebody, I'm seeing somebody over here that you're connecting with, another person. That you're going to be figuring things out with. This person is connected with sort of these like this new like insight or understanding that you adopt. I just get the feeling, just energetically, that this is going to be a months-long process. This doesn't feel like all of this is going to happen within the next week. This is feeling like something that's going to be expressed over the next like many months. Yeah, I'm seeing somebody down here that you're going to be connecting with, but it's not at the beginning. This is going to be later down the line. It's once you find this thing and like lock in to pursue something over here in like the second part of the spread, and then in the third part of the spread, you're like already on this little trail. As I said before, like now for the third time, this expedition that you go on, I'm seeing you be doing that, and I'm seeing you meet somebody. There's somebody that you connect with here, and then I'm seeing you figuring things out with them. And it definitely looks like, I don't know, there's an attraction between you guys of some sort. Having Knight of Wands here and having Queen of Cups on the bottom of the deck, it feels emotional, and it also like maybe a physical thing too. Like maybe something romantic with this person, or that's what's going to be figured out. Sort of what you want to even do with that. How you want to proceed. But I'm not seeing things happen in a way where there's a lack of thought about it. I'm seeing it be like, I know that I'm feeling this and then I'm having this urge, but then having judgment next to it, it's sort of like figuring out what that means and what you want to do with that. So you can know that like you're having an impulse, experiencing an impulse to move a certain way. But then having judgment feels like, okay, I'm recognizing that, but I don't need to take action on that right now. I need to understand what that means. And I'm seeing there be like emotional implications of that you're going to be undressing and figuring out. It just feels like a lot of things that are processing currently and taking time. Like me looking at this, I feel like you're in the middle of something. I'm not seeing a beginning, I'm not really seeing an ending. I'm seeing you just like be in the middle of a process that you're flowing with. So I'm hearing Scorpio and Gemini. I'm looking at Virgo, Taurus, Sagittarius, and Gemini, and also Pluto. Some of you, I wonder if there's like a mentor or something that you've been working with. Just the way that this comes about, it's like when you find somebody and they become a teacher. But it doesn't necessarily have to be, like, I don't know for all of you guys if you're like physically interacting with this person. It can be like a guru, you know, that you find where like you start reading quotes by somebody and then you start studying their life because you're interested, and then you start like finding more content of them and they become a teacher to you in a way, but you don't necessarily, like having Hierophant here, it doesn't have to be in person, but it can be. But this is somebody that you would see sort of as like kind of a role model of like there's somebody that models like even aspirations that you have of like where you want to go and where you want to expand to, like they look similar to that. So it can be somebody that holds knowledge that you're interested in, or you're like, how did they get from there to there? And I'm seeing with the Lovers, this is like, it's somebody that you really resonate with. So I'm seeing you actively working with this person. I guess Hierophant too, it like, I'm not really getting therapist vibes, but it just is somebody that in some way you see them as being a guide for you. And having the Lovers, it's not like some random person that you don't really relate to and you're stuck with them now as a teacher. This is somebody that you feel sort of like you're cut from the same cloth as them. Like there's something very similar when you look at them that reminds you of yourself. It's that type of experience. And there's like love that's felt there, but it's the type of love that's felt when you feel sort of safe to explore, when you feel interested, or when you just feel like you're meeting or connecting with something or someone familiar to you that's resonating with you, really making sense to you, and it feels like it's a guiding light. Like that's how I see the Hierophant in this context. And I'm seeing it be too, like there be progress that's being made. So this feels like something that you're actively working within. And it seems to like it's helping you figure something out. Some of you, this has to do with relational things. But it can be relational things in a general sense. I feel too like the progress is not the fastest. Not that like needs to mean anything, but I'm just getting indications of like progress is being made, but it's happening like a bit slowly, like it's taking some time. Nonetheless, it's still happening. But it feels like there's a lot that's being figured out on the way, and that's also why it's taking some time, because there are a lot of complexities and nuances to this. And I'm also seeing too there be a reflection right now, like I feel like you're very much in hermit mode right now, because this is really, I'm feeling a big draw to this energy of the Hermit. I do feel like you're looking at and reflecting upon where you feel motivated to go next, and like what you want this expedition to be, like what you want the subject of it, like what's the topic, what's the focus. And then I'm seeing that you're going to then move in that direction. So I'm getting this be like a contemplative state of you currently figuring that out. And then I'm seeing that you're going to move forward with it. And I'm seeing something that you feel very, very happy about. And also there's also something else simultaneously that you may not feel happy about that you're sort of moving through right now. So you're going towards the 10 of Cups, which you're moving towards something and you're like, this really brings me joy, or this really excites me, or this really feels like the thing for me right now. And it seems like because you're in that space, which feels like a better space, it's allowing you to process something that already happened, but that is sort of unprocessed. So something has already happened that has not fully been integrated, that I'm seeing when you get to this space. It's like when somebody is in a situation that's very stressful to them, they can't begin necessarily doing the work because they're still in that environment where the stress was. Just like, okay, this is taking a bit of a turn, but this is the best example that I can think of. Sometimes when people go into a program that's connected with, like, let's say an abusive relationship, if they are still in that situation, sometimes the clinic like won't allow them to be in the program. They'll allow them to be in a different program, but not in certain programs where they'd begin processing, because they're still in that environment where like the trauma is still like happening. And I feel like that sort of thing, like before, when you were in a situation, you couldn't process this 5 of Cups, whatever this was that happened. But now, because I'm seeing you're about to be moving towards something where you're connecting with your 10 of Cups, where you do feel like safe and happy and content, and you feel like you're on the right track and things are feeling better for you, and you're in like a much better space emotionally and state emotionally, then I'm seeing that's when you begin to process this other stuff that you couldn't before, because you're no longer in that old environment anymore. So that's what I'm seeing happen. And so when you start processing, it looks like there's like maybe something that's going to happen after that. Like you may initiate something that's connected with that. Like you may be like, okay, I'm processing, and then you're like, oh, there's a missing piece here. And you may then start a little bit of a side venture to put together some missing pieces. So I'm seeing like multiple things happen here, but I do feel like there's sort of this puzzle that you were given that you couldn't completely solve. It just like wasn't the time. And then I'm seeing you get handed another puzzle. And while you're in the middle of that, you get to a point where it's like informing you about the previous puzzle. And then you can sort of go back and tend to that. And then you're doing both of those things at the same time. But then when you go back to this old puzzle, the first one, the initial one you were given, I'm seeing you realize there's a missing piece. So even though you're still in the process of working on the second puzzle, you're then going on this little side venture to find out where those missing pieces are, so you can complete that initial one while you're also still tending to that other one. So I'm seeing 2 different cycles, okay? And it's like one cycle started but it couldn't be closed out, and then simultaneously an additional cycle began, and while you're moving around that one, then you like go back into the first one. So it's like first one is moving, then you can't move any further and you hop over to the next one, and then that breaks something loose for the first one, so then you're doing both of them at the same time, and then you may hop back to do something within the first one to close it out, and then you go back to the other one. I feel like this is getting so complicated. That's what I'm seeing, okay? It'll make sense when you're in it, okay? All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I am sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.